Venice. I'm going out of Venice.
I'm not a nautical person myself. I don't like water.
Look, I saw a 5 to 8 foot seas last night. I said, that damn, I'm not going if that happens.
I don't think it's Thomas.
No. Where's Segura? Mike.
And then Andrew, our pastor that's going to say the prayer.
It's 10 after 11. Yeah. His name. I got his name. Andrew.
You have presentation prayer?
James.
Oh, bad comments, but nothing. Okay. You can gavel. Gavel.
I'd like to call the meeting to order.
I'm saying there has to be a compromise.
I'd like to ask if we have any special intentions this morning.
Yes, Councilman, thank you, Council President. I just want to, give a shout out to or pray for the crew of ISIS and all the ladies who are going to be riding tomorrow evening. I know it's very exciting time, but it's also sometimes somber occasion because of the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. So just pray for the safety of all of the riders and all of the people who come to see.
Mayor Zahn.
Just like to keep in our thoughts and prayers, former colleague of mine and some of my administrations, Chris Roberts and Chris Roberts' family. Obviously, we all know what has happened to Councilman Roberts. Want to keep his wife, his kids, his brother, and his mother and father in our prayers throughout the city of Kenner. Thank you.
And I would like you to pray for our old state senator, Danny Martini. He will be having back surgery and has several discs that have to be fixed. We have Pastor Andrew Moscow from the Vineyard Church. Could you please lead us in a prayer?
Of course. Let's pray together. Father, you know the needs that burden our hearts personally. And Father, you know the needs of our city better than we do. And so, Lord, today, I ask that you would give us wisdom to see clearly, to understand rightly. Lord, I ask that you would mobilize our hands and feet to do our part in the work that you're doing in the world. And most of all, Lord, I ask that you would grant our hearts understanding to better know you, to better know ourselves, and to better know the perspective of those that's different than ours. We ask these things in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance now. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council President, you have a quorum this morning. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Is there any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor this morning? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of February 6, 2020. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2206-20, Crescent City Cruiser Classic Car Club Incorporated, to hold a public gathering on March 20th, April 17th, May 15th, June 19th, July 17th, August 21st, September 18th, and October 16th, 2020, from 6:30 to 11 p.m. for the purpose of a classic car cruise night at Lake Town and Kenner. Item 3B is application number 2209-20, Divine Mercy Roman Catholic Church, to hold a public gathering on March 7th, 2020, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the purpose of a cook-off and a car show fundraiser at 4337 Salentini Parkway. Item 3C is application number 2212-20, Kenner Italian Heritage Incorporated, to hold a public gathering on April 3rd, 2020, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., April 4th, 2020, from noon to 10 p.m., and April 5th, 2020, from noon to 6 p.m., for the purpose of a festival in the 300 and 400 blocks of Williams Boulevard. Item 3D is application number 2213-20, Green Lawn Terrace Elementary School, to hold a public gathering on February 21st, 2020, from 2:15 to 3:15 for the purpose of a Mardi Gras parade at 1500 38th Street. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, Council President. We had some code sweeps again this past week. In District 1, with the help of Councilman Carroll's office, along with obviously the Code Enforcement Department, we covered the 2600 to 2700 blocks in District 1 of Helena and Tifton. Violations are a little high, 53. Court summons is 1. Warning violations is 34. Then the Code Enforcement Department jumped over to District 3 with the help of Councilman Hayes' office to the 4100 block and 4300 blocks of Idaho and Georgia. Again, violations of 53, warning violations of 22. Those are some high numbers, but as we know, some of those areas do need some help. So I appreciate all the work of the Kenner Code Department, along with James Mohammed and Molly McGinnis for what they do there. This is a very busy weekend. If you give me some time, Council President, I know sometimes these mayor comments have other people that speak in them, but we do have a very busy weekend, starting with tomorrow night. So the Crew of ISIS has returned to the city of Kenner. It's a 40-year-old parade. They've paraded for about a few years in the city of Kenner before they moved to Jefferson Parish, working very closely with Councilwoman Jennifer Van Rankin and Cynthia Lee Shane, the parish administration, our parish council people. We were able to keep ISIS in Jefferson Parish / the city of Kenner. So that parade will start tomorrow evening around 6 o'clock in the Esplanade Shopping Center. It will end at the Pontchartrain Center. No streets should really be impacted. You should have ways in and out unless you live on Loyola for about 45 minutes. So there are some areas on Loyola that will be impacted for about 45 minutes on the parade route. But I want everybody to know that when the parade is parading in front of you, and if there is an emergency, anything that a first responder needs to get to, the Kenner Police will stop the parade. The parade will be stopped for anyone in Loyola or anyone around the route if you cannot access your home or your business for some reason, or for an emergency, or if you have a situation where an ambulance needs to get through or a fire. So I spoke to our police chief this morning. He could not be here because he sits on a board and needs to be at that board meeting this morning. But he wanted me to stress to the council and also to the people of the city of Kenner, the Kenner Police Department is absolutely 100% ready for this parade. So is our Kenner Fire Department. But the chief, not being here, wants to make sure that y'all know that. And the chief of police and the Kenner Police Department have been fantastic, working with Lee Roussel, my deputy CEO, and our director of recreation, Mr. Chad Pitfield, to make sure that all the needs are covered throughout the city of Kenner from about 6 to probably around 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow night by the time it ends. I know Councilwoman McKinney is part of this parade, and we appreciate that she joined that parade immediately, that club, that crew. I know that Cheryl Gorman, the captain, is very, very excited. Cheryl and I have spent a lot of time together these last 2 weeks on some morning shows, and she's here again with us this morning again to spend some time with you all and the people of the city of Kenner to give a report. So if you don't mind, Council Chairman, I would like to call up Cheryl, and it'll come back to me to talk about one other event that's going on in Councilman Carroll's district this weekend, and then the fire chief is here to give a report on some things that have happened with the fire department. If y'all have any questions for me, that's fine to ask me about ISIS, but Cheryl's coming up, and she knows a lot more about her parade than what I do. Again, I want to pass on to Cheryl Gorman. Thank you for giving Kenner the opportunity to do this, and I'm sure y'all are in the same boat as me. When you go to restaurants in Kenner. When you go to business in Kenner over the last few weekends, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing in the street, particularly this past weekend about Family Grow, that they are excited. The people of the city of Kenner are excited. So I'm excited with that. With that, Cheryl Goldman's here.
Thank you, Mayor.
I am so honored to be here today. You know, we've had a lot of events since June that have brought the Crew of Isis family together with the family of Kenner, and we are thrilled. We're exhausted right now, but we're thrilled, and it's going to be great. The weather's going to be perfect tomorrow night. For the first time, I've been in Isis 28 years. For the first time, looking at the weather forecast, seeing a 0% chance is fabulous. And I even told the mayor, I said, for the first time in my life, I'm excited about having 0% chance of something happening. So we're thrilled. The ladies are ready. Tomorrow, we're starting an early day. One of the things we are going to readdress, and Christy, I appreciate your prayers for safety, because safety has hit us in the face hard in the last 24 hours. So we want to emphasize safety. We have taken every precaution within the crew. Chad Pitfield and his group, along with our group, have taken some additional steps to make sure that no one's getting off the floats before they need to. Safety is important, also the reputation and the image that we present. You know, we're here as a representative of our organization, but also of the city of Kenner, and we so appreciate it. I mean, we are just thrilled beyond what we ever expected. And Councilman Brannigan, you said you'd roll out the red carpet, and it's beyond red. It's now the golden carpet. And we just appreciate what's been done for us. And in all the years this morning, I'm like, I'm not gonna see Ben today. And I was like, shoot, I am at 11 o'clock. So we're happy. You know, I think this is gonna be the start of something big. I've had some conversations in the last couple of weeks with some other folks involved in Mardi Gras, and they're kind of looking at us like, okay, they did the right thing. You know, what's in it for us? What can we do? So we're happy. We're excited. The sun's shining today. It's going to shine tomorrow. It's going to be a little cold, but our ladies are ready. They loaded their floats last night. One lady took it upon herself to figure out, this is really ingenious. She went and rode the route and has her stuff based on mileage. So that, you know, because we told them, do not run out. Whatever you do not run out. You need to double up what you had before. So they're thinking. So they also are taking this seriously, that we want to present the best possible image and the best possible product that we can to the city of Kenner. And we're deeply appreciative of everything you've all done for us. It's put us on the globe. It's put us under a microscope to a degree, but we're going to shock a lot of people and make the residents of Kenner very proud and pleased to have us be a part of their family again. Anybody have any questions for me?
I just wanted to thank you for bringing the parade to Kenner. It's a big deal, and it's a really good thing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheryl, Captain Gorman, I just want to thank you. Thank you for all of your efforts in bringing the parade and everything that you've done as a member of the crew. And, you know, my sister-in-law, Courtney McKinney, was a longtime member of the Crew of Isis, and I'm just, you know, I'm writing in her honor, and I think, and on her old float. So, you know, obviously, you know, she passed away in 2016. So thank you very much, and I'm just happy to be part of the Isis family.
We're happy to have you.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I, too, want to thank you. And I understand that the organization has grown since it left Mettering, and now it's in Kenner, which is a great thing. And it looks like it's off on to the right foot. And also I understand that it is the only parade in the region in Jefferson Parish or the Metairie, Kenner area. So it looks like we're going to have a good turnout with the beautiful weather. And also, again, it's the only parade in the region. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. On Monday, we will have the annual Lundy Gras celebration in Rivertown. It will be from 10 to 3 in historic Rivertown. August meets Zulu outside around 10:45. We'll be in Heritage Hall for that as they come in. Around 11, we will parade outside after they meet and we do the presentation. We'll parade outside as long as the weather's good. So we have an issue with the weather that could keep us in Heritage Hall, which will change the rest of the afternoon, or rest of the morning and afternoon, which I'm about to talk about. The Top Cats are scheduled to perform at 11:30 in the a.m. I'm praying that it stays nice. It might be a little chilly. Hopefully, it's not chilly and wet. So everyone, outside is open to the public. You do need a ticket to get into Heritage Hall. Obviously, Heritage Hall, if it becomes the shelter area, it only holds so many people, so being open to the public does change a little bit going into Heritage Hall. But please, if you have time, that is something annual we keep on doing, and it's a great event, and it also will have vendors and food vendors out there along the parade route. The businesses out there are very excited about what's happening now with Lundi Gras, because they are out there, and there are some shops out there that sell some Mardi Gras items, as Councilman McKinney knows, and my daughter also knows that. We have the fire chief here with us. Chief Terrence Morris is here to discuss some recent things that have happened in the District 5/District 1 boundary area for the new fire station that will be here sometime in the next year. But for right now, we had that temporary station. We have a few people that come to the council meetings asking what's going on. I think this administration is doing a very good job, along with the fire department and all the men and ladies of the fire department, for keeping everyone updated that your safety is not in any type of jeopardy whatsoever. Terrence is here to talk about updates with that, and also when that temporary fire station will be open. And if my text messages are correct that I'm getting, I think he's got some very good news to wrap up with. Chief Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank each and every one of you on the council for being supportive of this effort with the purchasing of a temporary housing for the firefighters at the permanent site. I'm glad to say that we had the house delivered last week, and we're doing the final connections. We're trying to get the guys moved in by this evening, and they'll start responding from that area. If not this evening, by tomorrow, we'll have them in that location responding from the area of the permanent site, but it's a temporary station there. I want to thank each and every one of the directors that, the members of the city that helped me to make this happen so quickly. We had to get all the utilities connected, as you know, and we're just waiting on Energy to set the meter. So that'll determine how quickly they go in. But the response from that area will be great. It will cut down the response to the Veterans Heights, Susan Park area that we keep having this conversation with members of the community about, that that response time will be cut drastically. And in addition to that, we're putting in a preemption, the traffic light preemption system that I had told you about, that turns the lights on Loyola Green for the unit going into that neighborhood. So that will help us not only as reducing our response time, but it helps us with our PR rate, because we get to those certain areas a lot quicker than without the system. So I'm happy to announce that and have that system in place and the temporary housing in place until we get the permanent structure erected. So, okay.
Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. President. And Chief, thank you for coming today for that information. Obviously, with the logistics, not only for the fire station, but the airport, that area has become the priority for the people from the Veteran Heights and the Susan Park and the Lincoln Manor and parts of Loyola University City. So that's where we are today. We look forward to the many things that will be changing. And as far as, you mentioned before about the number of times people have talked to you about the station and all that. Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't feel any sympathy for you, because I've been hearing stuff for 5 years about that, and it will continue. So don't think it's going to go away. So just prepare yourself to continue to hear it, and we should hear it, because this is people from the Lincoln Manor subdivision, people from the Susan Park and Veteran Heights. This is their families and livelihood, and they are going to ask, and they should ask. And we have to be able to work in coordination with the airport, City of New Orleans, and Kenner, Code Department, Fire Department, and everybody to ensure that there's a level of comfort that they feel when they go to bed at night. So we appreciate that. Some of the questions from the surrounding areas have been, the trailer, the station will be there. Will it house firemen, and will there be a fire truck station on that site once all the infrastructure is put into place?
Yes, it'll house the crew that was originally in the Loyola Street station, the same crew. We setting it up to house the full complement of men, 5 men that respond on that truck the majority of the time. So it will house the 5 individuals. The truck will be on site. We still have some other things that we need to do to the site to make it, to qualify with Property Insurance Association, to make certain we keep that rating that we currently have. So it's still a work in progress, but the immediacy of needing the fire station, of wanting the fire station and needing the fire station in place is what took priority. So the rest of the things that we need to accomplish going forward, we'll do, such as landscaping.
Yes, and that's an inside joke, everybody. We'll talk about that later. But thanks to hear that. And one of the things you said, which is important, the insurance purposes, not only for that area, but for all over the city of Kenner.
Yes.
We want to ensure to every family that may be coming in that we are at the top of the grade as it relates to fire protection, as our insurance rates will not increase out of the sky. So that's fantastic. It's great to hear that it will be housed by a complement of firemen, and it will be a truck there to be able to support once all the infrastructure is put into place. So that's great news. Good to hear that. We look forward to continuing this conversation with all the people from that area in the city of Kenner, and hopefully everything goes well as planned and the infrastructure is put into place. And we look for, hopefully there's nothing that we have to, or we pray that nothing is happens before that work is completed for the people in that area. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mayor Zahn?
That's it, Council President. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney on the consent agenda. Council members, please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is summary ordinance number 12,664, an ordinance granting a servitude to Bell South Telecommunications LLC, a Georgia limited liability company doing business as AT&T Louisiana, for the installation of buried telecom cables and facilities measuring 10 feet wide from Duke Drive to Clemson Drive, located parallel to the west side of Lot 6 and Lot 18, and 5 feet parallel to Duke Drive, as shown on a survey by BFM Corporation, LLC, number 10082, dated November 12, 2019.
I have a motion by Councilman Segura, second by Councilman Brennan, to open a public hearing. Is there anyone?
Council members, please vote to open your hearing. Motion passes 7-0.
Is there anyone wanting to speak on this legislation? Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Segura. Oh, wait.
No, he's going to, when you close the hearing, then you can speak. Close your hearing first.
I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Brennan, to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Brennan for approval.
Councilmember Segura.
Okay. I know this is Councilman Carroll's district, but it just piggybacks the discussion we just had. This is part of the utilities to get that fire station up and running, correct, administration? I think wasn't mentioned, but that's what it's for. So this is just to get that moving and get it up to speed. And so, Greg, what else?
Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilman Segura. And yes, it is physically, I guess most of the work is physically located in District 1. But as we all know, District 1 and District 5, you know, there's no line that separates the two districts. There's no line that separates, you don't wear a patch or a tag on your shoulder or your clothing that separates people who live in District 1 and who have relatives throughout the city that lives in District 1. So it's not just District 1. It is all of us, all of our responsibility. So that's why, you know, this is all of us to be ensured that this is done properly. My question was, and maybe to the Public Works Director, are these repairs replacements for old cables, or is it installation for whatever is new that is coming for that area?
This is just to relocate the utilities to the side of the property, because right now they're aerial and they go across the property,
Okay, so,
which would be in the way of construction of the new permanent station.
okay, so it's the one that is there, we're just going to change the location of them, we're not adding anything more?
Correct.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mayor Zahn?
Just for clarification, it's for the, because when you were speaking before about the fire station, it's for the permanent fire station. Okay, all right. We're talking about two different types of fire stations, talking about a temporary and a permanent. I didn't want people to think we're doing this just for a temporary station.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you, Mr. President. And Tom, as far as, Mr. Shriner, as far as this is concerned, this is going to relocate. There is some power lines there currently. Now, the power lines, I understand, what happens with those, just so we know?
They will be terminated at the western edge of our property.
Okay, and there's no need for that to come before the council, so we're good after this
Yeah.
as far as those lines are concerned.
Yes, sir, you're correct. This is it.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you, that's all I have.
We have a motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,675, an ordinance amending the Kenner Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Section 15-21 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to establish stop signs on 42nd Street.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution recognizing the historical and educational importance of Washington Elementary School in the city of Kenner as a neighborhood school.
I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Council members, Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think there are a couple of people, and make sure we're in this proper protocol, that may want to speak before we vote on this, just to get, if they want to. I have some things to say before we vote on this, but is it appropriate to let some of the audience say a few words?
Yes, sorry, you can allow.
Okay, so if anybody in the audience would like to take their 3 minutes allotted to address the resolution before I close and we vote on it, please come up to the microphone. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Please.
5th District, Kenner, 48 years. I'm in favor of keeping this school open. It was slated for closure, and I appreciate the efforts Councilman Carroll made to keep this school open. However, I'm not in favor of the funding to make the repairs on this school with taxpayer dollars, and I'm going to tell you why. I understand yesterday there was a meeting with Cade Brumley, the Jefferson Parish Public School Superintendent. And in that meeting, he didn't mention anything about Cornerstone Chemical Company, who he just gave 2 tax breaks to. One of them totaling $43,000 a year. The other one totaling $250,000 a year. And at the same time, continues to ask the taxpayers to dig deep in their pocket. And the second thing is, he don't ever mention the multi-billion-dollar gaming industry in this state. People need to remember back in 1991, they went to the polls and voted to legalize gambling in this state because certain segments of the gaming industry committed to funding teacher pay raises and funding public education. Where's the money? That's been my question for years, and nobody can tell me. So until we can get some accountability as to how much their cut is from that multi-billion-dollar gaming industry, or if there's any cut at all, and why the superintendent continues to give tax breaks to chemical companies like Cornerstone. I'm not in favor of using taxpayer money. I think there's alternative sources of funding, and we need to ask these questions and go after it. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Greg Taft. I live at 3720 West Loyola Drive. I'm in favor of the resolution. The only thing that I would like to add to the resolution is that obviously it's because of low grades in that area. Now, that tells me that one or two things is happening. One, either the teachers are not being able to communicate properly with the students to give them the education, or two, as I've heard from District 1, a couple of the District 1 associations, that there needs to be some after-school system brought up to help those students that are having a problem to have a place to go to continue to learn, because it may be possible if both parents are working, they're not getting the attention that they need. And I think in the resolution, that should be added, that the school does have the responsibility to make sure the children get a proper education. And I think the after-school activities such as they have at the Hispanic Center should be made available in District 1 as well. And as far as the historical of the school, I can understand the parents wanting, and the area wanting to preserve that, because it's a generation school. And I think that we should provide the resolution. I just hope we add that part, that maybe we provide some method, or that the school board provides a method for those that need extra attention after school. Thank you.
And Mr. Taft, if I may just address your comments, it is perfectly, you stated it perfectly eloquently, no more than I can, but our second ordinance will encompass what you're talking about right now. And I'll address it a little bit more when we get to that one. Thank you, sir.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Earl Smith. I live at 613 Hanson Avenue in Kenner, Oak Kenner. And I came to give my support for making Washington Elementary School, I'm assuming that it'll still be there, a historical site. Looking at a little of the historical data on it, the free people of color and slaves, ex-slaves, started the education process in Old Kenner. At the time, I think Kenner, wasn't Old Kenner then, it was New Kenner, was something like 75, 80% African-American. Of course, it's not that now, but the marker is still there, and of course, that school go way back. We celebrated 4 years ago the 80th year anniversary for Washington Elementary School. Now, I'm not from Kenner originally, but I take note of the fact that education is important to all of us, even the history of education. So, my comment is that I do agree that there should be a historical marker recognizing Washington Elementary School, because there are people all over this country who actually attended Washington Elementary School. We have so many PhDs who started out at Washington Elementary School. As you said before, Washington Elementary School is right now a STEM school. Before that, it was a Montessori school. So you don't get those kind of designation by not making the grade. So I don't know why it's a question now as to whether or not they can compete. The other and final comment I want to say is that I think the city of Kenner would be better off if it was a historical site. We have in Kenner an international airport. It's New Orleans International Airport, but it's in Kenner. And many, many people of all nationalities come through the airport. It'd be real nice if they had some recognition that there's a historical site as it relates to education for African Americans in this country at the airport. I'll be proud because I live in Kenner. I intend to die here. So with that comment, I thank you for your opportunity, giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Kenner, Old Kenner, Washington Elementary School and the historical marker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Please state your name and full address.
Good morning. My name is Oscar Cade Sr., 1507 Gordon Street, Kenner, Louisiana. I'm here. Once upon a time, the mayor said, let's make Kenner great again. Here's a chance for Kenner to make Kenner great again. This old school is the last man standing in our history. It is the oldest school in Jefferson Parish. When I think about the Buffalo Soldier, the Silver Water 54th, the Tuskegee Airmen, I say it, thank you. I couldn't hang that up. Thank you. And recently, Darian Miller aircraft named after him. It hurt my heart simply because when we left Baton Rouge, my family, my mother enrolled me in Washington Elementary School in 1954. 2 years later, I was school safety patrol. Jake and Mr. Mooney used to bring us a Christmas token every year. I patrolled Clay Street along with Miss Pansy Becknell. I was a lieutenant. Floyd Broomfield was a captain on Webster Street with my cousin, Bessie Lee. I can almost go to tears because of the value of that particular school. I was also a school bus driver for Jefferson Parish, Bus 98. Mr. Steve Caraway can verify how I took everything serious. I had kids fighting on my bus. I brought the bus straight to the jailhouse. Steve Caraway took them off. I'm coming down the interstate again, driving another bus because I was the sub driver. Kid throwing bags out the window on the interstate. Brought the bus to the jail again. Steve took him off. I'm saying this to say this, that you have to do your job. I had 3 kids walk into my bus, take 2 steps, pull their pants up. 3 of them. I left them. Transportation say, Mr. Cade, you left these kids this morning. And I say, yes, ma'am, I'm gonna leave them again tomorrow if they don't get on the bus like the rest of the kids. I'm holding people up trying to get to work, and they take 2 steps and pull their pants up. If everybody do their job, and if everybody treat each other like we are brothers and sisters, I work with these young kids. Don't see a person by his shape, his color, his size. You measure a person from his heart, from the front of his head to the back.
Mr. Cade?
Treat him the way you like to be treated. Yes? Did someone say something to me?
Yeah, Mr. Cade, your 3 minutes is up.
Well, I was looking at the clock and it hadn't moved.
Because it went over, it went over.
So
It-
my 3 minutes up. Well, why don't you start the clock and then see how good God is? God is good. This is something you all need to hear. Mr. Mayor, I applaud you. Now, when you start the clock, I'll know what's what. I'm looking at the clock. Mr. Cal uncle was the principal of that school. And I got the board a couple of times.
I'm sorry,
But I
Mr.
did
Cade.
it, and I got it, and I appreciated it. Because that school is something we need in our community, and if y'all band with us, hopefully Miss Gail Benson and the New Orleans Saints can donate monies to help us. God bless you all, and the next time I get here, start your clock, and I won't go over.
It was started.
The clock was started, and it was on my screen.
Yes, it was started.
Yeah, I just, before we vote on this right now, I would like to first personally thank everyone that came up and shared their personal stories and for people who may not ever have gone on the campus of Washington Elementary as it relates to, because we all are part of the city of Kenner, their position on the school and how it affects the city of Kenner, and from a historic standpoint, how it affects all of us and all of our children. Normal protocol is to read the caption, excuse me, of the resolutions that we present, but I'm gonna not skip, but I'm going to ask Madam Clerk to be able to read the resolution in entirety, because there are a number of people who will understand and get a feeling for some of the things that the people have said, and it is something I think we should hear. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes, sir. A resolution recognizing the historical and educational importance of the Washington Elementary School and the City of Kenner as a neighborhood school. Whereas this resolution states opposition to the closing of Washington Elementary School in South Kenner. Whereas in 1855, the City of Kenner was founded, and Kennerville was the first town located on the New Orleans-Jackson Railroad line in what is now commonly referred to as South Kenner. And whereas in 1924, the first high school in Kenner was established. And whereas in the early 1930s, a group of concerned African-American men organized the Education League for the purpose of getting a high school for the African-American students in the Kenner area. And whereas the members of the Education League petitioned the Jefferson Parish School Board to make provisions to educate African-American students beyond the 8th grade. And whereas the board informed the members that they would be required to raise monies to provide the land and construction of the building. And whereas the members worked diligently and successfully met the challenge imposed by the board. And whereas on the present site that now holds Washington Elementary, a school was built for the purpose of educating African-American students on the East Bank of Jefferson Parish. And whereas since the 1930s, the school has educated grades 1 through 12 under several different names, including Kenner Colored School, Kenner Colored High, and Kenner Colored Elementary. And whereas in 1957, the school was officially renamed the Washington Elementary School and educates all children regardless of socioeconomic, ethnic, racial, or religious backgrounds. And whereas with Washington Elementary School being a vibrant local neighborhood school, it allows children in the community to travel to and from school and related activities with their fellow students and a negligible need for busing. And therefore, it is requested that the resolution recognizing the historical and educational importance of the Washington Elementary School and the City of Kenner as a neighborhood school be hereby approved. The Council for the City of Kenner hereby resolves, Section 1, that the resolution recognizing the historical and educational importance of the Washington Elementary School and the City of Kenner as a neighborhood school is hereby approved.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment on a couple things about this resolution. First off, I want to thank Councilman Carroll for filing it, and also reiterate some of the things that I see that are important, just a few. The history of this school is phenomenal. And I heard it earlier, someone said that it was the oldest public school in Jefferson Parish. That's incredible. That is incredible. I think that in itself speaks volumes about the school. It's been open for near a century now. I don't know if everybody realizes that, but right shy of a century, 100 years. I want to say it's been open over 90 years. Generations of our residents attended this school. I mean, grandkids, great-grandkids, the parents, the children, and it just goes on and on. This is an institution, educational institution in Kenner. It's the only public school, I say public school, elementary school in the southern portion of Kenner. It's the only one. Again, here's all kind of historical facts that speaks volumes. Its history is real rich in the community, and I think it just stands to have some support by this council, and I plan on supporting it, of course. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Segur.
Thank you, Council President. You know, as someone who has lived in the city since the mid-'50s, yeah, I recognize the value of this school. I was here when it was there. I was a young kid going to school, not too far away, Lady of Petra Help. So I recognize that, you know, the school has its significance and its historical part of our city. And as any of the schools, whether it be a Lady Petra Help, St. Lawrence, where I later went to, across the street was the Joe Majuri Public School Elementary. And then go on as the city grew further north with schools that are younger, but in time will be older and have the same significance. So, yeah, I'm in support of the resolution as it's written, but to Mr. Smith's comments, I got to caution you, this is not written to put a historical marker on the site. To get that done, there's another process, and I believe it's through the Jefferson Historical Society. So I would urge the councilman to follow that up to see that that takes place, because this in itself, I don't want you to get the impression that when this passes, you're going to see a marker go up. That other process has to take place. But the comments, the issue, what's in the resolution is solid, and I'm for it. Thank you.
Councilman Carroll. Right.
Testing. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. And again, thanks to everyone comments with those words spoken by everybody on the council, and particularly everybody in the audience. But there's a reason why I asked Madam Clerk to read the information, the historical. First, let me confirm what Mr. Cade said, full disclosure, that I am the councilman for this district, and it would be ridiculous for me not to support this. But not only that, my uncle, like many of my relatives in the audience, was the principal there for 50 years. Now suck that in, 50 years. He pretty much was part of everyone's education. If you're under 50, he was your principal at that school that set the framework for that school to where it is now. So even if I wasn't a councilman, I would have a reason to support that, and I would support that. Also, the reason why I wanted her to read it was because I'm not an attorney like Attorney Shaw and Fauché and Roussel and everyone else, but there's a Latin term, and please don't, if I mess it up, please apologize. Res expor lequitur, and it means the thing speaks for itself. There's nothing more, not one word in my vocabulary that I could say that would top what this resolution states. There's nothing I can say. It speaks for itself. So it is enough in the historical value of it for anyone and everyone in the city of Kenner to take ownership of it. And that is why I'm asking for my colleagues to support this, to make this a historical site. And to Councilman Segura's position, I have spoke to Ms. Bowles of the Jefferson Parish. We have started that process with her to see what we have to do. So we will be doing that, and we look forward to have that marker at the school, and not only at the school, maybe somewhere else, at the airport, other places, to let people know this is a location in the city of Kenner that dates back 100 years, and we are proud of it, and we intend to keep it going for 100 more years. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. I have a motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution urging the Jefferson Parish School Board to use taxpayer dollars towards the maintenance and infrastructure needs of Washington Elementary School to continue educating children as a neighborhood school in the city of Kenner.
Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And
I have a
to,
motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. You can go ahead, Councilman.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. President. And this addresses the part of it, well, I spoke to Mr. Teff when he spoke about the grades of the school. And right now, the school, just for everybody's information, is the C grade. And obviously, we all understand A, B, C, D, E, F. C is right in the middle. So we understand that. But I am from the old school. My mother, my grandmother, and my aunt were prominent public school educators. So I come from that realm. And this new way of grading A, B, C, D, E is fine, and that's only been going maybe for a couple of 10 years. This is where we're at. This is what we have to do to adhere to make it better, not backing away from that. But I can speak to you personally from my uncle, mother, grandmother, that they didn't look at the education from a letter grade standpoint. They looked at it as if the person came in at an F and they got him to a C, that was successful, because their main goal was to ensure that this young girl and this young boy reached the highest point that they could, that they would be productive citizens in our city, that they would be able to take care of their family. And if by chance they did improve to an A, they could go on, like many of us have, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, electricians, and plumbers, to increase your educational. So to us, and to the many people, the teachers that made that school, a C is an A to them, because a C is what that person has to give, and a C is what that person took with them when they graduated to make the city better. So for that grade standpoint, this resolution identifies and speaks to the point that we don't want the school to stick around just for the sake of sticking around, to be an old building. There are things that need to be done from an infrastructure standpoint. There are monies that need to be spent at this school. There are classrooms that need to be improved. There are classrooms that need to be expanded. There are mental health issues that need to be addressed. All of these things that we want to spend the money that we spend as taxpayers to put back in this school. And one day, this school may be an A for all the students. But for right now, we have to put the work in and do the things that will ensure success. And success for us is defined in many ways. That old adage of success has not gone away. That still is what we believe, but now we have to attend with the letter and the grades and the A's and the B's and the F. That's what we have to deal with. And I also like to thank all the people that came out to the public community meeting, and also the West Wego community, because they are in the exact mirrored situation that we are in with Thibodeau School and Petrie. So we are not in this by ourselves. We do not represent the only claim to historical value. We are part of a greater New Orleans area that we all recognize historical value to our community that will be unvarnished to the people, to the children, to the teachers, to the community for years to come. So I ask again for the support for the resolution from the council to implore the Jefferson Parish School Board to not only keep the school, but do the right thing and put the money into it where we should be. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilman Hayes?
I'm going to abstain from this vote, mainly because I don't think it's the duty of this council to ask another board, the school board, to use taxpayers' monies in the way we see fit. They don't come here and tell us what to do, and I don't really think we should tell them what to do. I hope that on the 4th of March, if and when the school board decides to close this school, that a group of parents will form a foundation, and that foundation could do anything that the charter indicates. Could be a health center, neighborhood, needed, but most of all, it could be a child development center. Mr. Teff talked about after-school help. Nothing's more important now is early childhood help. 2/3 of the students in this state, parents both work. Entergy just completed a study indicating that students are suffering because of adequate daycare. Now, a child development center is not a daycare. Students progress. They are taught a curriculum. They progress not on age, but on knowledge. A foundation could work with the school board and probably get, the campus is wonderful. The campus is large. Campus could support many activities that this community needs. So I hope everybody recognizes what can be done here. Mr. Cade came several meetings ago and said something very truthful, that if we don't care about the young people now, then it's going to affect our children in the future. Totally true. Let me tell y'all something. New Norman used to say, I look at the students in third grade who can't read. That's how I bill my prisons. That's how I estimate how many classrooms we need. 91% of basic development, brain development, is done by the age of 5. That's why a strict curriculum at something entrepreneurial, like a child care development center, would be a wonderful asset to this community. This community that we're talking about, we talk about an ALICE threshold. What does that mean? ALICE stands for Asset Limited. It stands for Income Constrained and Employed. These are people that are working as hard as they can to make ends meet. And I truly believe I am not in a position to tell the school board what they should do with taxpayers' money. But I hope to God that this campus continues in some format as the name Washington for the next 80 years. Both of these schools are C- schools. One school has a population of 272 students. That's Washington. Bunch has a population of 322. Together, you have 600 students, approximately. Still 85% of capacity. So the school board has to make hard choices. Let me tell you all, the business community worked hard to develop the school board that you have right now. It is the best school board that we have ever had. I just hope we can keep our superintendent where he is. We probably won't be able to because he is a true star. I hear the people complaining. Believe me, if we take care of the students from infants to 5 years old and do it right in connection with a university that has an educational department, where student teachers come in and get credit for work done. Could be Southern, it could be UNO. That's what a good child care center does. So that's I just hope we have the desire, the emphasis, the knowledge to make something happen if and when March 4th the school board declares this school as being closed. Please understand, last year, the school board closed 3 schools. However, it started 9 schools from kindergarten to grade 8. The school board's going to do what it needs to do. They have the job. So again, I wished everybody could have been at the meeting on Tuesday night. You had 200 people talking about the significance of this school. One person said, I remember every teacher in the school. I can't even say that about my college career. This school is important to the community, no doubt about it. We should not lose it. And I challenge everybody, if the school board makes this vote, to come to grips, to get together, and make sure something is done to keep the name Washington going for the next 80 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Hayes. Councilman Segur.
Thank you, Council President. You know, we have these two resolutions, and again, a little bit of clarity on resolutions. They're just a statement of thought on this council. They are no act of law. So bear in mind that, you know, the first one, wonderful piece of legislation to extol the historic significance of the school. This legislation, the second one, I'm fine with it. You know, it has no problem saying what it means. The issue is going to be, though, as Councilman Hayes did say, it's truly not our vote to determine whether the school stays open or not. But as this council has done in the past, we have sent resolutions to the school board in support of something. So it really has no hard thing to say we can't also send something against, or saying we're against something they're doing. So, but just bear in mind that, you know, if this passes and it goes to the school board, that's where your fight's at. You need to go to the school board and express your thoughts, your beliefs on the school, because they are the ones that are elected to represent the issue of education and the utilization of the tax dollars that come in for that education. And those tax dollars come in by each and every one of us paying our fair share of the millages, or maybe even a little sales tax that comes in with it. But they are the ones that have that responsibility to determine how to use that money as wisely as possible for the education of our kids in this parish. And as I mentioned a little bit ago in the other legislation, and the Councilman Hayes mentioned, you know, it's a common thing through history or just time. But before that, we lost a school, Majority Elementary School, which was named after one of our very well-known mayors. But demographics caused it to be shut down. So that wasn't our decision. It'll be the school board's decision. So with that, you know, I know some of the factors that go into making these decisions, and I think is there a census question, Mayor, that is used to?
There's a census being conducted right now, if that's what you're asking about.
I heard something about that, so I did.
Yeah, so, well, and I guess you're leading into, can you yield to me for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. You're leading into what I was going to say. While I agree with everything that's being said here from all sides, the census could determine what's going to happen. Look, Kenner is a growing city. We basically, you know this, we're cutting ribbons at least once or twice a week. There's things going on in the city of Kenner. We're doing traffic improvements right now throughout the city of Kenner because Kenner is growing. So you might want to think about this. This is strictly y'all's call, but just from the administration point of view, amend the resolution to say, based on the census, we would appreciate the school board would consider the census before they do anything. The census could show that the growing community is happening also in District 1 or throughout the city of Kenner. So that's something to consider, because I would have to say, I think the census plays a very big role in what's going to happen. Kenner, Jefferson Parish, obviously, this country, but we're worried about Kenner right now, first and foremost, and about this school. Maybe think about putting that into the legislation, the resolution, your call, Councilman Carroll, but it might just be something that shows that you're not interfering with school board business, but at the same time, you have a concern for the residents that we share, along with the school board representatives that sit on the school board.
All right, well, I'll let Greg address that.
No,
No, that's what I said.
Does that answer your question?
I think so, but I just understand that what the school board needs to use to make their decisions on how to spend the tax dollars is perhaps census, as well as the demographics of attendees and how to best use the dollars and which assets need to be continually forward maintained, or which assets they unfortunately have to let go. So I'm supporting this resolution, and even though I do agree a little bit with the mayor said, maybe a little change of language to say, look, please consider this, not, because the statement right now just says, use the taxpayer dollars. Well, they do use the taxpayer dollars to run the school. It's their decision on how they do it that you need to go to them and address. So I don't think telling them use the taxpayer dollars is maybe the appropriate language, because they do that. Now, the question is, you don't want the school closed. I hear that. So we got to figure out what's the language to go to the school board and ask them to strongly reconsider, I guess, because I don't say it's a done deal. They've already made a comment that I read in the paper. This is the plan. Now, they still have to approve that plan. So there is a chance to go before them and do that. So with that, like I said, yeah, I'm going to support this language. If any other changes in the language are made, I can support that also. But I believe your plight and your argument needs to be at the school board in full force. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. At this time, we have two members of the audience that would like to speak. Please state your name and full address, please.
Again, my name is Oscar Cade, 1507 Gordon Street, Kenner, Louisiana. The only thing that we are asking is that you follow your religion and you follow your heart, because surely there's a God. When I look at this virus that's going around, where we were stopping everybody else from coming into the United States, but it came in from a back door, we finna give a Mardi Gras, and we got people coming in all around the world, and that virus gonna touch here sooner or later. So everybody pray up and have themselves prepared, because we just don't know. I could be going in a day or bank about batting of an eye. But this is one thing I do know. Together you stand. You see, when they say 7 years ago, our fought brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in the liberty that all men, I don't want to go into all this, but it's heartbreaking to me. Kenner, stand up. You stand up for your citizens, and we're going to do the rest, because surely this is going to go to the federal level. It's going to go to the federal level, and Kenner, keep yourself on the smooth side. You represent your citizen from your heart. You think about your grandkids and kids that's coming up. What you said makes sense. We do need to start. And we need to start by putting prayer back in the school. We need to start doing a lot of things. Go back to basics. I came up and I learned the Lord's Prayer at school. Now you can't say the Lord's Prayer in school. And you see this virus, man didn't just make that. You better open your eyes and know. You know, when Katrina came through, we all was together. We ate the same food, slept in the same floors and gymnasiums and whatever. We keep doing these things, and God gonna bring us together again. Kenner been blessed. We just had Katrina. We haven't had any other plane crashes or anything else to happen. But you do right things come to you. The Lord does not sleep. He does not sleep. You do your part as Kenner, because we've already sent something to the federal level. So Jefferson Parish can do what they want to do, but they gotta wait until the federal level investigate it. You see, because I'm not just up here woofing, I'm up here telling you facts. There are facts. And it will send certified mail to Washington to get them to look into it too. So don't you be caught on the wrong side of the ball. Stay neutral, or just do what you can do to help us. God bless you.
Please state your full name and address.
Carolyn Smith, 1232 Fairway Drive, Kenner, Louisiana. Councilman Hayes, you said something about the preschoolers or children up to age 5. There's a Head Start Center in Washington Elementary School that prepared the children for what you're talking about. There's also a Head Start Center in South Kenner at the A.P. Clay Resource Center that will prepare the kids for what you're talking about. We're here. We can't tell the school board that to use their taxpayers' dollars I know you said that that they have a structure and everything set up, but the thing about it is, the parents really don't know what's going on at Washington, because when it came up about the closure of the school, we just found out about it, so we held a community meeting, and we asked the superintendent to attend. He did not come. He did not show up. He said he doesn't meet in large groups. So he's been calling little small groups, meeting with them. And that's the decision he's basing it on. It came out on February 5th, the proposal about the school. They're going to vote March the 4th. That's not even giving the parents enough time to come together to even talk to the superintendent about this, because he's refusing to meet with them. So what do? We had a meeting. He called a special meeting yesterday only with a few people. He called it that morning and said for us to be there for 10 o'clock that day. Working people couldn't go, but it was only a few people that went. But his decision still stands. So my question is, when you're doing your resolution or proposal or whatever you're going to call it, ask him if he can just put the vote off until we get a chance to really sit down and talk about it and see what needs to be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 48 years. I want to respond to Councilman Hayes' comments. First of all, we do have a right to keep track of taxpayer dollars in the city of Kenner. We pay property taxes for the city of Kenner, and we pay property taxes to Jefferson Parish. This is all Jefferson Parish. One more thing I want to add to that, okay? Your assessment of the school board, okay, I disagree with that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm very dissatisfied with the superintendent and every school board member on that board. And I'm going to tell you why. They just put a 759 millage on the ballot back on May 4th. The people went to the polls and they approved it. Okay? The people of Kenner that have a $200,000 home are paying $120 more a year to the parish because of that millage. Mr. Brumley's not done yet. They wanted to also put an 8.3 millage on that ballot along with that 759, but they was afraid that they'd lose the whole package, so they backed off to 8.3. But he plans on coming back with it again, and it's going to be called a construction millage, which I will oppose again, okay? Mr. Brumley, at my request, was issued a letter of open invitation to come to the parish council meeting and answer questions about his repeatedly ill-advised decisions he's making, okay? So that's why I agree with your assessment of that school board. And the main point that wasn't even mentioned in here, you touched on it, Councilman Hayes, when you said that Washington is a C- school. The news reports said it's a C school, but I'm not going to quibble over a minus. But I'm going to say this, your assessment again of the school board, why would anybody in their right mind want to close a C or C- rated school and move those children to an F-rated school? Why would anybody in their right mind even consider this? So much for Mr. Brumley and our illustrious public school board system. And it's the largest, by the way, in the state of Louisiana. And I will debate Mr. Brumley anytime, anywhere he wants to discuss this. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to mention the usage of resolutions. I wanted to get into some of the procedural parts of it. Resolutions are often used asking other government entities to act in this particular way. That's common. We do it all the time. We did it here last year. We asked, the state had a $300 million surplus. because of mental health and substance abuse issues that have been ongoing throughout the state, throughout the nation. We asked that the state use some of those proceeds of the $300 million surplus, if I said deficit, I meant surplus, towards those causes. This body unanimously voted on that. That was just last year. So it's common that we do it. I served in the state's legislature for 9 years. During that term, we received often resolutions asking that we perform a particular way. That's common. It's a mere request. This body needs to do that. It's a part of our job. So that's the way I view it, and I support this resolution. Thank you again, Mr. Carroll, for following it.
Councilmember Hayes.
Councilman Segura mentioned census. Things are changing. In the 70s, we had a school system of 70,000 students. Today, we have a school system of 50,000 students. Last year, again, 3 schools were closed, non-schools were built. So what we have here today is a segregated school system. That's a damn shame. As a banker, we started a program where people could afford to pay by loan for a Catholic, a private school, any type of school that wasn't a public school. Way back when, 20 years ago, that was $60 million, 23,000 families that were paying to keep their school children out of the public school system. You heard today about legacy. You heard about being 80 years old. It was a segregated school system 80 years ago. It's a segregated school system today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, get active. When you lose 20,000 students, you need to do something. It's a $700,000 budget in the school system. We have a $73 million budget. So again, it is what it is. And believe me, I hope we save this campus, and if it takes making sure we have a different formula of what we do there, so be it. If we are not entrepreneurial, if we don't have the desire to save this campus, it will go away. So I'm only giving you a pep talk to make sure you get together, form some type of nonprofit, 501c3 foundation, get together and make it do what you want to do if and when the school system closes Washington. Thank you.
Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And, again, thank all the citizens that came up to speak. It's always good to hear what the public has to say. And thank Councilman Hayes and Councilman Segura. Even though I disagree with most of what they said, I do agree with some of what they said. And the biggest thing from Councilman Hayes was that he mentioned a plan about doing this or doing that. That is the main topic of our objections. There were never any conversations so we can address what could be done. That never happened. So I ask that you go back to the school board and let them know we are open to talk about things that can work, but we were never given the opportunity. Never had a chance to speak to the superintendent or anybody that put this together. So we're not afraid to do that, but give us the opportunity to do that. Defer this meeting so we can talk about to see what we can do. And as far as your comments about we being the council, it is not our responsibility, I could not disagree with you more. It is our responsibility. It is totally our responsibility. And just to comment on Councilman Wilmot, we have done this a number of times, particularly for the Kenner Discovery School. We have given monies, resources, support from the city of Kenner. And I did not one time hear any of this. Nobody said, oh, it's not our responsibility, oh, we're not this. No, nobody said that. We voted on it and we supported it, along with myself, because I believe we should support education. So all of these comments coming out about it's not our responsibility, it's only a resolution, we know all of this. That is why I brought it up as a resolution to be presented to the school board, to have our support. Now, whether you support it or not, that's going to be up to you to vote for this or not. That's your responsibility, not mine. I'm going to support it, and I look for everybody else to be able to support it. And also, a lot of the information that was given, it is somewhat, you know, to the point where we had this meeting on Tuesday that anyone, it was a public meeting, anyone could have gone. A lot of the information, a lot of the stuff discussed about going to the school board, going to this one, we discussed that. A lot of information mentioned about children at a certain age not being able to read. The room was full of teachers, educators. We know this. This isn't new to us. We're not blindly going into this. All of the information stated, we know this. We are prepared. Miss Houston, Miss Edwards, all of these people who have been administrators in the school board. You think we don't know this? We know this. We just wanted to be adapted for the opportunity for Washington School to make it the best school that we can do. That's what it is, you know, and that's what we want to do. We're not trying to fight anything. We're trying to make it the best thing that we can do. So this is what we're asking. This is what I'm asking with this. If you feel comfortable to support it, support it. If you don't, then don't. Like we do for everything around here, we vote on it. And this is the democratic way in America to do this. So I think I have made my position. I have given my points about it, why I support it, and many of other people have. We're not going to cherry pick this and pick this out and put this in and take this out. And while I thank the mayor for his suggestion, I'm not going to amend it. This is what we as a community, as a committee thought should be said. And this is how I'm going to present it, not to defer from that. And we'll address this going forward with the school board, and we look forward to meeting with them. I have scheduled a number of meetings with a number of the school board members who did not know anything about any of the stuff that I have in the legislation. So I will have an opportunity along with the community to call them and let them know. That is our job. And I can assure you we're going to be on that before March 4th. So, again, I ask for the council's support on this, not only for the Washington School, but for the city of Kenner, because the city of Kenner is what this is all about. I'd like to read a quote from Mr. James Baldwin, an African-American poet from the early 20th century. And his quote is, "The past is all that matters and that makes the present coherent." So it says that for itself. It makes the present coherent. You cannot forget about the past, the building. And listen, we have gone to we being the South Kenner people, have gone to the school, went to the school. We understand. No one is asking to have the same empathy. We're asking this to do from a standpoint of the city of Kenner to recognize this. We didn't talk much about the Bunch Village, and someone mentioned there are 300 school children there, and we're going to add 300 more there. If you ever went to this school, the school is on a dead end. So now they have a problem, a quagmire there, so you're going to add 300 more, which raises it to over 600. What do you think is going to happen now? The community is outraged already with the 300. You can imagine what they're going to be with 600 for the parents, for the students. There are a number of other things that come into play, moving kids from one specific location to another. Listen, Jefferson Parish was ranking 7 schools in the top 10 with the most discipline problems. That is a concern. That will be a concern. So we have to look at and talk about all of this, and we just ask for the opportunity to do that. And I ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Hayes has abstained. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,661. An ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the contract between the City of Kenner and Ramelli Janitorial Service Incorporated for garbage collection and recycling services.
I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Brennan. We have a speaker. We're not voting. Please state your name and full address.
Stacy Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. I was waiting to see if this was actually going to be pulled from the agenda because I have a question. I see that right now you guys are voting for final passage on an amendment to the contract between Kenner and Ramelli for the garbage collection and recycling. But then I see on the agenda we have item 16N, which now says, for first reading, an ordinance approving a contract with IV Waste LLC for the collection and transportation of garbage or waste or trash within the corporate limits of the city of Kenner. So can somebody please explain to me what's happening here with this garbage contract, please?
I'm going to refer to the legal. Eric?
Sure. So this amendment that you see, which is 15A, is simply the amendment to the contract that changes the rate that got voted on last December. This follows up with that. So that's all we're doing here at this point in time. As far as the stuff on the to be read in the summary, it's just being read in the summary today. So it's not up for discussion at this time. So.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that answer, but that really doesn't answer any question. We're amending our current contract, which we just voted on. We're raising fees and everything. The citizens for many years have complained about the services of Ramelli, but we heard the last couple of months ago how fantastic they were. We objected to the recycling, but that got passed. Rah, rah, rah for Ramelli. So, okay, so we have a contract for many more years, largest contract in the city of Kenner, and now all of a sudden there's something on the agenda today saying we're going to give a contract to IV Waste. The citizens need to know what's going on with this. This is big.
Eric?
Second of all, I would like to hurry up and say that in this, this current proposed thing, that y'all are asking for changes to our largest contract to be done by resolution. This is wrong for a number of reasons. Resolutions don't have to lay over. They can be introduced from the floor and adopted at the same meeting. It prohibits public scrutiny prior to adoption, and it prohibits the council members from studying the issues. Y'all could theoretically make a change to the largest contract in the city of Kenner from the floor with no public notice. Traditionally, all contracts over $100,000 were voted on by the citizens of Kenner that we want them by ordinance only. This should be no different. Kentonapolis, Joe Stagney, they offered legislation. The council passed it, and the voters approved. All contracts $100,000 or more are to be by ordinance, not resolution. Thank you.
Eric?
So again, on the issue of the other items on the agenda, to be read in the summary, those are not up for discussion today. It's prohibited by council rules. And so the discussion right now is going to be limited to just the Ramelli amendment that you guys have before you. Regarding the second statement, there is a section 2 that allows the future amendments to the Ramelli agreement to be made by resolution. It's added as a matter of routine in a lot of contracts just to take the timing down if you have to just make an extension or something like that. But you guys could remove that by amendment to this ordinance if you'd like today. That'd be an easy change if you wanted to do that. So.
Okay. All right, so we have Segura, Councilmember Segura.
Thank you, Brannigan. He didn't call me councilman. Why should I call him president? She started that. No, Eric gave his explanation to the question. Stacy, we, as stated, passed an increase or a little bit of an increase and the enforcement of a previous agreed cost for recycling, which was passed. Now we have to amend the current contract so Mr. Ramelli can get paid for providing those services. He is providing those services. So we have a fiduciary responsibility to pay him the services that we've approved to award him. That's what this is doing. That's all it's doing. Any other questions on future things for first reading will come up at that proper time for discussion.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Brennan. Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. This apparently has in it, this is allowing the contract to be amended in legal. If this is correct, please let me know. It's allowing it, it's allowing the mayor to, it authorizes him through us to sign the contract or the amendment to the contract. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's authorizing it's approving the amendment and authorizing the mayor to sign it.
And it allows the increase in fees, if you will, to go into effect from the previous vote that was taken by this council. Is that
Yes, so
correct?
the council voted, I think it was in the last meeting in December, to increase the fee that was charged to the public. So this amendment changes the fees that's being paid to the vendor to reflect that fee increase that was made in December to the public. So it's the second half of what you guys started in December.
Now, it mentions, this is an ordinance. This is not a resolution.
This is an ordinance, yes, sir.
Okay, so, and I heard earlier it was mentioned that there was a resolution. Can you clarify that?
So
What
in
was-
section 2 of the ordinance, it allows future modifications and amendments to this particular agreement to be done by resolution.
And it says that in this ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to offer an amendment correcting that, if you will, and saying that it needs to be by ordinance.
So if it was me, I'd recommend you guys just delete section 2. It'd probably be a little easier for the clerk to amend the ordinance to delete section 2.
And then that, well, if doing so, would that make it by ordinance in the future?
It would mean that future amendments would have to be passed by ordinance, yes, sir.
Okay, then I would like to handle it in that fashion, if I can do an amendment removing section 2. I move.
Wait, okay, can you clarify one more time for the clerk? What's your amendment?
Eric, if you will.
Yeah, so his motion would be to delete section 2 from the ordinance.
I have a motion I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Carroll, to delete section 2 from the ordinance. Any discussion on the amendment at this time?
Councilmember Segura.
Thank you, President Brannigan. Could you just reread what section 2 is?
I can read in section 2 its entirety, so.
Well, if it's, I don't know how long.
It's not that long, no, it's only one sentence. So section 2 reads, that subsequent modifications or amendments to this contract between the City of Kenner and Ramelli Janitorial Services, Inc. may be approved by resolutions.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on the
Yes.
amendment?
Pressure button. Councilmember Wilmot.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that this is the largest contract for the city, and to do it by resolution would be, in my opinion, not the right thing to do. It should be done by ordinance, and that's all I want to say, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember White. So we are voting on the
Deleting-
amendment.
Yes, deleting section 2. Motion by Wilmot, seconded by Carroll. Council members, please vote on the amendment. Motion passes 5-2. Council members Brennan and Hayes are opposed. Back to your original motion, which is motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. As amended, is there any further discussion?
Yes, I am abstaining from this vote because Ramelli is a client.
Any further discussion? Council members, please vote as amended. Motion passes 4-2. Councilmember Brannigan is abstained. Wilmot is opposed, and Carroll is opposed. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,671, An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive proposal from Amco Fence Company to remove and replace Door King 9150 slide gate operators to existing slide gate equipment in an amount not to exceed $7,300 for the Kenner Police Department.
I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,672. An ordinance ratifying the emergency purchase, installation, and startup of one Raytherm commercial boiler in the amount of $24,594 for the Kenner Police Department.
I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Segura. Councilmember Segura.
Just a quick comment, the police department has been without heat for some 20-something, maybe days, so this is going to help warm them back up. The poor ladies working over there are been without heat, so thank you.
Mayor Zahn.
And the chief wanted me to pass on to y'all that it was installed yesterday evening, so there was no problem with lack of heat for any police officers last night.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember McKinney. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Segura, huh?
Again, it's not. Segura, I'm sorry. Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilman Segura. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 12,673. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from SEMS Incorporated for a 2-year contract for cleaning and flushing of subsurface drain lines and drainage structures on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 19-6523 and an amount not to exceed $150,000 for the Department of Public Works.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Brennan. Council members, please vote.
One more. Motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 12,674. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Blocher Company, W.J. Blocher Company, LLC, to provide professional services, labor only, for fixtures, lamps, and wiring on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 19-6521 and an amount not to exceed $200,000 annually for the Department of Public Works.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember Segura. I will be abstaining from this vote because Blocher is the client. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Brannigan is abstaining. Item 15F is a resolution approving Amendment Number 6 to the engineering agreement with Hartman Engineering Incorporated regarding Kenner Hansen City Sewer Lift Station improvements for LS 4102 Airline Drive in Mendon and LS 4103 Firehouse Road, and increasing the maximum fee by $9,241.58 for a new maximum of $280,993.23.
I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Carroll. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is a resolution approving Amendment Number 2 to the agreement with H&O Investments, LLC, dated May 7, 2018, to provide grass cutting on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 18-6417 to increase the agreement amount by $125,000 annually.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Hayes. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance authorizing the administration to utilize existing Jefferson Parish contract number 55-00018757 with truck and transportation equipment to purchase vehicle bodies and accessories for city vehicles on an as-needed basis not to exceed $175,000 annually for the Department of Fleet Management and Public Works. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Beacon Air Conditioning in the amount of $9,750 to purchase an air conditioning system for the general store in accordance with telephone bid number T20-2738 for the Department of General Services. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Beacon Air Conditioning in the amount of $10,463 to purchase an air conditioning system for Mus Bertolino Gym Office in accordance with telephone bid number T20-2739 for the Department of General Services. Item 16D is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of taser training cartridges from Axon Enterprise Incorporated, formerly Taser International Incorporated, a sole source provider, in the amount of $6,486 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16E is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Atletico Incorporated, doing business as Turf Tank, in the amount of $42,500 to purchase one field marking paint turf tank robot in accordance with seal bid number 20-6541 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16F is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive proposal from Vehicle Parts and Equipment and Company Incorporated for the purchase of a Havas prisoner van transport insert, Go Rhino partition inserts, and Havas consoles in the amount of $29,981.20 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16G is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Dash Lumber and Supply to supply building materials on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 20-6532 in an amount not to exceed $50,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16H is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 12 BolaWrap 100 less lethal remote restraint devices and accessories from Tico Safety Incorporated, a sole source distributor, in the amount of $13,938.05 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16I is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Semco Incorporated to supply frames and grates on an as-needed basis in accordance with letter bid number 20-1592 in an amount not to exceed $15,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16J is an ordinance revising the not-to-exceed amount authorized in Ordinance 11,674, accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Pennant Shop Incorporated to supply flags in accordance with letter bid number 19-1581 from an amount not to exceed $15,000 to an amount not to exceed $29,946 for the Department of General Services. Item 16K is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of Chateau Transfer Station Pump Number 3 by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $43,606 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16L is an ordinance approving Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with Meyer Engineers Limited regarding the Kenner FEMA Street Renovation Project to expand the scope of the agreement and increase the not-to-exceed amount by $155,612 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16M is an ordinance authorizing a public hearing to approve the proposed amendments to fiscal years 2017, 2018, and 2019 annual action plans of the City of Kenner Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, for the Department of Community Development. Item 16N is an ordinance approving a contract with IV Waste LLC for the collection and transportation of garbage or trash within the corporate limits of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, for a period of 10 years and providing for related matters. Item 16O is an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,062, adopted by the City of Kenner on March 17, 2016, entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, more particularly amending and rezoning lots 8A, 11A, 14A, Square 83, Bainbridge Office and Industrial Park Subdivision from light industrial to heavy industrial, and directing, authorizing, and empowering the planning director for the City of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the City of Kenner. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees. Councilmember
Segur, Councilmember Segur.
Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to just take a quick moment. We've had discussions already about our ISIS parade coming in tomorrow, but the whole weekend, all the way through Tuesday, Mardi Gras Day, a lot of parades. Want to caution everybody to be mindful. What happened the other night at the Knicks parade is just being unattentive. You get too excited about that plastic pair of beads that if somebody wants to throw you, you don't need to be up against the float to get it. You can be 5 feet back and get that same plastic item thrown to you. So if you're going to the parades, be very, very mindful of where you're at. You don't have to charge the float to get things. Step back. You'll probably get just as much and more. So I want everybody to have a safe Mardi Gras, and please come back alive. Thank you.
Councilman McKinney.
Oh, Councilmember McKay, I'm sorry. You have the floor.
I just wanted to invite everyone to the parade. I know hopefully everyone knows that it's going on. I have a couple of fun throws to show you. I'm not throwing it at anyone, it's too dangerous right now. And there's a really cool cup that a lot of the riders are gonna have. You can actually see the route on the cup, which is really cool. And then this is, a signature throw. There also are gonna be signature. I was just getting there, slow down. There's also gonna be signature decorated bras in honor of breast cancer awareness. Several of our members, and actually my sister-in-law passed away from breast cancer years ago. So, we wanted to do something like all-female crews that represents something that is close to our hearts. So we did that, and there are lots of different. There are lots of different decorations on it, and it has nothing to do with the fact that we're in Kenner. By the way, just keep that on note. But there are really cool beads, bra beads as well, that everyone got. So come out, have fun, and be safe.
Mayor Zahn?
I'm good.
No.
All right.
Nobody
Ready?
else.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes. Jesse Murphy. Please state your full name and address.
Jesse Murphy, 4237 Illinois Avenue, Kenner, Louisiana. I have a letter addressed to the mayor and the council. Can I distribute, or is this after maybe? Honorable Mayor and Council, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself and the company I represent. My name is Jesse Murphy, Vice President of Louisiana for Waste Pro. Waste Pro Louisiana is a full-service waste and recycling company. To my knowledge, Waste Pro is the only full-service waste and recycling company based in the city of Kenner. Waste Pro pays Kenner taxes, employs residents for the city of Kenner.
Could you, Jesse, hold on one second? Is it appropriate to promote a company at this time?
No,
Wait.
If it's merely just a statement of what he's doing, that would be all right, but yes, shouldn't be promoting a business. No, you're correct.
Okay.
well, okay, and I won't,
Sorry, I was,
Give the attorney a second.
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
I mean, distributing the letter is fine if that's the question, but.
Yeah, okay, so
Okay, well, and I'll-
you can talk, but you can't read the letter.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. So, I guess looking at the item that I saw for first reading, I saw Ivy Waste on there, and I'm just curious, or to say, you know, Ivy Waste is being chosen as a provider when you have one right here in the city of Kenner that, you know, not, and however you interpret me promoting Waste Pro. I guess what I'm saying is I think that there should be other, you know, you have a waste company right here in the city of Kenner that I've got over $13 million investment in the city of Kenner. And, you know, so it's just trying to see how Ivy Waste would get picked or be chosen when they don't even currently operate.
Eric?
Got 30 seconds left to finish his statement, so.
Okay, so just, I just would like it to know that there's other options out there. That's all, you know.
Okay.
I mean, without, I don't know what I can say or what I can't, so,
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Thank you.
Earl Smith? Al Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 48 years. First, I'd like to extend my condolences and my prayers to the Clark family. Jude Clark was a commissioner on the Kenner Housing Authority who just recently passed away. Also, I want to echo my comments. I want to echo the comments of the mayor concerning Chris Roberts earlier. I also would like to extend my condolences to his family and my prayers as well. And I'd like to just quote something from the movie A Bronx Tale. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Now, I want to talk about 16N on first reading, okay? What Ms. Alessandro was trying to clarify was that you just amended the Romelli waste collection contract. And now on 16N, you are looking to let a professional service contract for 10 years for Sidney Torres. That's who Waste 4 is. Sidney Torres, in case some people in the audience didn't know. Okay? So my question, now, if you all, none of you all are prepared to answer these questions today, you could answer them when we come back and put this thing on an agenda to be voted on. But the questions I have, are we looking to bring in another garbage collection, solid waste collection company in this city? I see we got another vendor in the audience who was just up here. And if that is the case, what are we looking to do? Replace Romelli? And if that's the case, we need to know how many more years he has left on his contract. And if that is the case, are there any stipulations given any reason why we can terminate that contract? Because if not, you could be opening up the city of Kenner for a possible lawsuit. And the next question concerning this issue is this in the best interest of the people of Kenner, or is politics coming into play somewhere in here, particularly the good old political payback? So anybody can answer these questions if you're prepared to do so today. Okay? Now, I'll go ahead on and yield my time. There's not a whole lot left. Anybody? Thank you. Nobody prepared? Okay. To be continued. Thank you.
Ms. Rayanne Fink? Reagan?
I'm really just here to introduce Mr. Joe Rain. He is our city council ambassador for Lake Town, and he wanted to say a few words. Oh, I'm sorry, 1600 Joe Yenny Boulevard.
I appreciate
appreciate this recognition. I've always, as I mentioned in other talks, enjoyed things political and keeping up with what's going on. So when Reagan introduced this trip to the council, I guess I was one of the first members, and I've been coming to just about every meeting a month since I've been at Lake Town. And since Reagan's been there, about 2 years. So I enjoyed very much today's activity, discussion quite a bit on how to get things done. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brennan?
I just have one quick comment, and that's to say that I hope when I'm 55 years old like this gentleman, I can wear a coat that looks like that and looking as good in it as he does.
Mayor Zahn?
Councilman, I was trying to catch you while Mr. Rain was up here. Him being the...
I'm sorry.
That's fine. At least you didn't say Zahn, like you did say you. Mr. Rain being one of the first members that come here from Lake Town, being the people that come here every Friday. And if you look in the audience right now, you see how the audience is full of people, constituents, residents on a Friday morning. So again, I want to applaud you all for doing that. And it makes people like Mr. Rain and also his fellow residents from Lake Town villages able to come here. But I think the only thing that we should be doing is presenting Mr. Rain with this Kenner City pin that says Kenner Proud, which I'm going to present to him on behalf of myself, obviously, our chief of police, and each and every council member, so that he can wear his pin and be part of the Kenner City Council meetings as the ambassador. Mr. Rain?
That's very nice. Okay, thank you.
It goes with your purple jacket.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful jacket?
It is.
It belongs to Reagan. She throwed it on me in the lobby before we left. I had an old gray jacket. It turned into many colors.
Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I would like to also compliment Mr. Raines for coming today and to compliment him on his jacket. I know if he's like me, my daughter and my wife all help me out with my attire, so I'm sure the ladies help you out to pick that out because you are looking fly, I got to tell you that. That's right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilman Segura?
Mr. Rain, I also want to congratulate you on your appointment as ambassador of Lake Town Village to the council. And I ask you to use that to gather input from your residents. And I know you have some of them here, and they've been participating, applauding on comments. But for the others at the home who cannot make it, gather their input, and you come and speak to us on those topics, and we'd be glad to hear from y'all. Thank you.
Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too wanted to compliment you on your jacket. That's a good-looking jacket. And also, it makes me want to thank and wish everybody a happy Mardi Gras. I know. I appreciate. I can see two to three of y'all have Mardi Gras paraphernalia on, and so it's always a blessing to have y'all here, and we look forward to Mardi Gras. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and the only thing I would add to that jacket is LSU somewhere. Okay, Mr. Greg Teft? It's not here. Mr. Oscar Cade? Oh, Greg's coming, okay. I didn't see him.
Name's Greg Tapp, lived at 3720 West Loyola Drive. I just have really one question. I know y'all don't want to discuss the 16N, but I just want if I can get a clarification. Does it increase the fees, or will it increase the fees to the residents. That's it.
It does not, you're right, we don't want to get into discussion on anything on first reading, but I do think the residents of the city of Kenner need to know that it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cade?
Oscar Cade, 1507 Gordon Street, Kenner, Louisiana. I want to thank the council for passing the resolution. Mr. Mayor, thank you. And I have you guys know that we are planning on being at that school board meeting with the bus loads. My signs came off the press last night. Couldn't bring them in, Mayor, but I'll show you what it says. It just say, please save our school and what have you. But I love you guys, and I appreciate for you all that stood up for us. Mr. Hayes, I appreciate your views too, because this is what America is about. Compromising, doing what it takes to make America great. It's heartbreaking to me that we have another problem. I won't discuss it this time, but I'll just give you the headlines. They're talking about clothing adult education. There's a center back there, Martin Luther King, where people go there to get learnings to try to better themselves. And they're talking about closing this and sending them to Delgado in New Orleans. Some of these poor people don't have bus fare cars to get there. So we fight one battle at a time. I'm just making you aware of the next step. And I just found that out last night. Closing adult education. But God bless you all and thank you all, and I hope everybody have a safe carnival. Oh, and before I go to the seat, to the Roberts family, my sympathies to them. He said, a young man. It's heartbreaking when you get pressured to do things, but God knows best. My sympathies to that family and everybody else that lost someone. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Cade. David Weathersby? Please state your name and full address.
Webster Street, David Weathersby, 519. I'm here to support the resolution. Appreciate you all, councilmen, who understand the importance of that resolution and the recommendations from here to the school board. It's not just important for District 1, but as you all know, District 1 is the first district, and that side of Kenner was where it all began. And it went along Williams Boulevard. It traveled along Williams and it grew. And what I'm saying is that it not only affects, like Oscar Cade so eloquently put it when he said about how if the kids don't meet up today, they're gonna meet up. And when they do, we want it to be a pleasant meeting. We want it to be where that they can get along, like he said, the democracy of America. But I applaud the councilmen that understand the importance of District 1 and how it affects the whole city of Kenner. And it's been doing that for decades and centuries. And this fight is a fight that, like he said, we're gonna take it all the way to Supreme Court if we have to. Hopefully we don't. But Washington Elementary is a cornerstone. It's kind of like the fabric of that area, which enhances Kenner as a whole. We're about inclusiveness and equality for the whole city of Kenner, which makes the city of Kenner a better city. You know, I hear about the cutting ribbons, the ribbon cuttings, but without the character of good people, like you have in District 1, not only in District 1, but like I said, it started there. And so the character of people is what the emphasis has to be on, especially in a day like today with the administration that we have. So I thank you for your time, and thank you for the resolution. Thanks.
Mr. Weathersby, When you approach, we would appreciate if you would give us the number and the street.
And I would like to say this too, the census, that's a very important point. I agree with that, and that's a nice strategy. And I definitely applaud the mayor for that suggestion. 519 Webster Street.
Thank you. Stacy Alessandro?
Hello again, Stacy Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. First, I wanted to tell Mr. Carroll, thank you for the education today on Washington Elementary. As a North Kenner resident, I don't get, into South Kenner that often, but it was nice to know that we have this treasure in Kenner, in South Kenner, that I wasn't even aware that we had, and now I am because of Mr. Cade's comments, your comments, the people from the audience who are obviously very passionate about this school. I would say that I would hope that the school board will listen to the resolutions that y'all put forth today, and hopefully the school will stay open, and if it does, I would challenge the members of the school in South Kenner, that district, to not accept a C- grade. Continue this fight on and make that school an A+, because all children in the city of Kenner, north and south, deserve an A+ education. So if that school does stay open, as a community, let's try to come together and let's get that school to an A+ school. I would also like to say that maybe some of the business leaders could consider Kenner having its own school board. We have Kenner Discovery, a fantastic school that's doing amazing things. We have Washington Elementary, we have many other schools. Why don't we have our own school board? Why are we letting Jefferson Parish, with all its problems, and I know the superintendent is doing his best, but why don't we have our own school board? We can. The law allows for it. Could we please maybe look into this? The second thing, I'm going to start speed reading again, is because I have so much to say, and 3 minutes is not enough. But I want to thank the members of the council, and especially Mr. Wilmot, for amending that Ramelli ordinance. If y'all would have left the resolution in there, that would have been a terrible thing for the citizens, because now, because of the last ordinance, we're now on the hook directly. We pay whatever we're told to pay. And y'all, anybody could have changed that on the fly. So I'm glad, even though I was speed reading it, that Mr. Wilmot understood what I was trying to say, and that Mr. Carroll seconded it, and the rest of you guys who voted for it, thank you. The ones that didn't vote, I'm stunned that you wouldn't vote for a good government measure like this. My only hope is that maybe you didn't understand what we were trying to do. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. Have a motion to adjourn. Second? 3, 2, okay.